I wonder if it's working this time. Did I hear you say something, Rosie? But can you hear me? Hello, we've got a few of you come back. Thank you, guys. I have no idea what's going on. I'm trying a different internet connection, hoping this will work. It should be. This is the slower one. Working so far, yes. Oh, guys, thanks. Thank you, Mr. Taplin. A few of you said it's working better. Perfect. Okay, now. Oh, brilliant. Thanks, guys. Isn't that peculiar? I was connected to the faster of the two connections that we tested this morning, and we're now on the slower of the two, but it seems to be getting better. Everyone says it's better. Good, brilliant. I'll just give it a moment and let a few guys come back. So I apologize, we are late starting. Wow, we've got a few of you. Wow, look at you all flying in. Thank you very much, guys. I apologize for that. I'm just relieved that this is working, because one of my own areas of self-confidence, as I'm sure you know, is technical things. Isn't it weird how when we're really scared of something, it happens? You know, I thought, oh, I hope it just works. I hope nothing technical happens. And guess what? It happens. We really are self-fulfilling prophecies, us human beings. It's peculiar how we attract things like that. Okay, so I think anyone who's coming back is probably back now. I think a few of you are probably showing up. Oh, I'm watching the number count go up. We've got 100 of you back. I think we're up to a couple of hundred just now. I can see people are still arriving. So please bear with me, guys. Please be patient. So what I am just going to say is give you a little idea of kind of what I'm thinking, where I want to go with this. So first of all, I just want to tell you that although you all think I'm super confident, I'm crapping myself. Although the worst that I thought could happen has already happened. So is there anything to worry about now? Probably not. Okay. So I've got some notes here, which I will be referring to because I don't want to go off and onto a tangent and go in the wrong direction. So I probably will be referring to my notes. When you see me looking down there, I'm not ignoring you. I'm looking at my notes. Also, I'm using the webcam on my laptop, which means the camera is up here, but I sometimes will look down here because that's where the screen is. Okay, and I also may ask you questions from time to time with what I'm talking about. You know, if you've got an experience or an idea around this whole confidence issue which you'd like to share, if I can catch it quick enough and if Melissa is around, she can feed it to me, then, you know, I may well share it with everyone because I think we all learn things from each other's experience. And I also think it's really important that we don't feel alone in our own experience of these sorts of things. So that's kind of how I think it's going to work. Right then, let's have a little look. Where are we going? So, confidence. There are all of us have got like areas. Oh, you see the lights change now. I'm going to need to sit close so that I don't look. If I sit back, I'll go into silhouette. The camera's seeing all that brightness up here. Okay, forgive me if I'm being a space invader. We all have areas in which we're confident and areas where we're not confident. I've done a lot of training in this over the years. During the 1990s, I did a huge amount of personal development training, and I trained to be an introduction leader to quite a large company that does this sort of thing. I've always been fascinated in this sort of thing. I've had many comments over the years from people saying, you know, about how I use applied psychology within my photography and teaching, which is completely true. Yes, I do, because I truly believe that everything we have out here in the world is a printout of what we got going on in here and in here in our hearts. I just believe that stuff. And I noticed that for myself, it seems to be true. So we all have areas where we're confident and areas where we're not confident. For myself, for example, I'm very confident in my ability to take photos, and I'm now very confident in my abilities to pass on my photography knowledge to other people. It wasn't always that way, and you will find out more about that in a minute. I'm very confident as a motorcyclist. I'm very confident in my ability to use machinery. But then there's other areas where I'm not confident at all. And I know some of you may be thinking, but you're the most confident person I've ever seen. You're live on YouTube right now in front of 213 people. Well, true. But the areas I'm not confident with are tech. High-tech stuff, I always seem to cock it up, and it's probably because, as I just said, I've become my own self-fulfilling prophecy around that. I'm very bad at remembering things, which is why I end up with these lists of notes. I have no confidence in my ability to remember what I have to say. Officialdom scares the bejesus out of me. Legal letters, lawsuits, VAT returns, tax stuff. I find it really, really scary dealing with that. Personal relationships, yeah, I don't know. I find the whole thing a bit butterfly, but then maybe we all do find that one a bit nervous because we have a big emotional investment in those. Reading and writing is something which I'm not at all confident about. What was it, 8, 9 years ago, I was told I was dyslexic, and I had no idea. I just thought I was a bit slow and a bit thick, and that's going to come up again in a minute. And I discovered I was dyslexic. I hate reading and writing things, scanning for information. If I have to answer 5 emails, it'll probably take me the entire morning. It drives me nuts. I never text. I very rarely text or respond to messages because it just, for me, it takes me forever. It's just like, oh, just phone me if you want to talk to me. Very, very, very lacking in confidence in those areas. Numbers, I'm not very good at. And weirdly, excuse me, for someone who does what I do, I'm not terribly confident that people will understand me. Isn't that weird? When I have constant affirmations every day about how I've managed to teach people things which they had no idea they'd be able to do. When I first started out in photography as a professional, I wasn't confident enough to say I'm a photographer. So when somebody would come up to me and say, "So what do you do?" I'd say I mess around with cameras a bit. I snap a few pictures now and then, as opposed to just look them in the eye and go, "Yeah, I'm a photographer. Do you want anything doing?" I couldn't do that. Back then, being a professional photographer was a dream that was bigger than me. I couldn't ever imagine applying that label to myself. But hey, look, things happen. We move into the unknown and we go on journeys. And now I'm talking to 250 odd people live around the world. And I think that's a total miracle. So, what is a lack of confidence? Well, I'm going to suggest that it is fear of the unknown. And the unknown is a scary place for human beings because we're programmed to look out for bad stuff. It's in our evolutionary history. Once upon a time, we had to look out for the tiger that was going to get us, or the lion that was going to eat us, or the mammoth that was going to trample us, or the scary guys in the cave in the next valley who were going to come and club us and take all our gazelle meat and all that kind of stuff. It's what kept us alive as a species. We are programmed to look out for little signs that something is going to go wrong. But it's a lot less relevant these days to how it was many, many years ago, back in that evolutionary past. But nonetheless, it's still fed to us in a daily diet. If you look at the news isn't news anymore. The news is no longer unbiased news. They know that human beings are programmed to look out for bad stuff. So the news is nearly always bad because it's not about selling unbiased news now. It's about selling ad space around the number of viewers who come to watch the news. Why is it we are bombarded with all these programs about the world's scariest killers, top 10 worst murderers, all these fail type things? It's because we're programmed to take notice of things when they go wrong to try and protect ourselves. But unfortunately, just like me with my fear of tech and this broadcast, we start to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. We start to engender that things going wrong for us, and then that's going to have an impact on our self-confidence, and it's going to go down. So fear of the unknown, it's a crazy thing because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what the unknown is, and yet we're afraid of something we don't know what it is. How mad is that? And that then stops us in our tracks from doing things. When I did that little broadcast video yesterday, I'm walking down the street with my selfie stick. I got a little flutter going on in the stomach. I feel a little bit nervous, but that's probably a good thing. So where else have we got to on my list here? The other thing I think which we're afraid of, which has a big impact on our confidence, is our own self-image. And I would assert this is something we make up for ourselves when we're very, very young indeed. I know for myself, I grew up out in a rural country area. I grew up mostly in the company of adults. I could have a brilliantly intellectual conversation with the neighbors and the gardener and all this kind of stuff. And then I hit 5 years old and I was thrown into school. And suddenly it's chaos and bedlam and nothing made any logical sense and nothing was intellectual at all. It was just the chaos of kids, excuse me, who very quickly informed me that I was the fattest kid in the school. Now, I didn't necessarily mind being the fattest kid in the school, but I didn't like being teased for it. Excuse me. I didn't like being the last one picked for the football team. I didn't be the one that nobody wanted in their gang. And so it made me start to withdraw from, the others around the school. I started to hide in the corner. It was a big knock to my self-confidence. Preschool, walk up to any stranger anywhere and just have an hour-long conversation with them. Once I got into school, I thought, oh, there's something wrong with me here. I decided that I was fat and stupid. Excuse me. I've got to deal with that. Sorry. I decided I was fat and stupid. And then that was reinforced when a teacher that I kind of respected at school one day hollered across the classroom, "Browne, you're a useless, hulking great whale." Well, that one went in kind of deep. And so that one kind of really did have an impact on my self-confidence. I couldn't wait to leave school. And I must confess, for many years, I kind of lived into that. I didn't try and do things because I decided that I was a useless, hulking great whale. And that all these people who were telling me this, well, they're obviously cleverer than me, right? So I didn't really try and do things. But, this is the whole thing. We have to move forward. We have to grow our confidence. But how do you grow confidence? If anybody wants to throw up an idea there, how would you suggest we could grow our confidence? I'm watching the chat thing just here. Throw up some ideas. Anybody throw up some ideas? Come on. Learn to love yourself. Nice one, Caitlin. Anybody else want to throw up something? Give me some ideas how you might just bloody go for it. Louisa Dufresne. Thank you, Louisa. Good one. Do things. Fake it till you make it. I love that, Michelle. That's a rock and roll one. Try things out despite the fear. And then you can see you can be good at them. To grow your confidence, you have to keep going with what you're not confident at now. Right. I think you've just nailed that one, Adam. I think this is amazing. Now, these comments will be saved, along with this video when it's archived. So guys, please come back and have a look through, because look, there's lots of people with lots of great ideas. And also, if any of you have got anything you'd like to add from your own experiences, I've shared some stuff from my past. But if any of you more confident guys want to share something from your own, please do that in the comments, because then people can come back and have a look. It is important that people realize they're not alone in this journey. It's something that is ongoing. So how do we grow our confidence? Well, it's kind of like what Adam just said, and there are more comments flooding in, which is awesome. Thank you. But it's kind of like what Adam just said. We got to go and do stuff that we don't want to do. It's kind of, we have to steer into it. If you kind of look at something and think, I don't feel confident enough to do that, guess what? Good news. That's a little ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling alarm bell going. If you want to grow your confidence, you need to go take a closer look at that. You need to go and give it a go. Now, I'm not suggesting that if you're someone who is deeply shy and you're really afraid of photographing in a public place, that you plunge right into the middle of a festival in central London and start taking crazy street shots. That's not going to work. That's going to crush your self-confidence. But what is to stop you from just kind of moving forward a little bit at a time? What's going to stop you from just trying something in the street, just trying taking a photo in public? Now, the fact that it feels uncomfortable, that's the good news, because that means that it's something you need to do in order to grow your confidence. I'm going to say a bit more about those things in a minute. But first, I just want to share a couple more little stories about how our brains are hardwired to manage this. Just as we were hardwired to notice danger and to have a lack of confidence and to be fearful of the unknown, we are also hardwired to be able to change the way we think and who we are. I know a lot of people say that, Mike, you're super confident. I could never be like you. I'm not a confident person like you. No, well, as you've just heard, I wasn't a confident person like me either. It was a journey. It took some constant pressure from within, and it also took some changing external environment. Let me give you a couple of examples. So a few weeks ago, a few months ago, you may have seen me do a live PR shoot with the Ocean Brothers, the guys who rowed unsupported across the Atlantic Ocean when they were greeted back into their hometown. And on the end of that video, I did an interview with Jude Massey, who is the youngest guy ever to have even attempted a cross